it is assumed, I'm going to introduce you to something called markup. Now, this is the first time you're encountering this term on the course. Markup is the amount of money you put onto your selling price, onto your cost price to get to your selling price. So if an item costs you 50 Rand and you mark it up by 100%, you add another 50 Rand to it, so you're selling for 100 Rand. The amount of money you put on is markup. So if you buy something for 100 Rand and you put a markup of 50% on it, you're putting 50 Rand on it, so your selling price is 150 Rand. If you're marking up by 75%, if your product costs you 100 Rand, you're putting 75 Rand onto it, so your selling price is 175 Rand. And of course, if you mark up 100%, you buy for 100 Rand, you put another 100 Rand on, you sell for 200 Rand. So that percentage that you put on is called your markup. Okay, with me? Okay, so if you have a markup of 75 Rand, you buy your products for 100 Rand, and you sell that product for 175 Rand, your markup is 75 Rand. That's exactly what I've said. Living costs is the amount of money you will be able to take out of your business and spend on buying food and other things to feed yourself and to look after yourself and your family. At first, this amount is incredibly small, but as your business grows, so that amount of money grows. And transport money is the amount of money you can use to subsidize your transport costs to go and buy more stock. And the reinvested amount is the amount that you put back into the business to let it grow. So these are the formulas. This is the most important page. If your markup is a 50%, 75% or 100%, the formula will change. So on a 50% markup, the formula is as follows. Your living costs, you can take 20%. Your transport costs 5%, and your reinvested amount 75%. You cannot change those. Well, I suppose you could change them a little bit, like you can say I want my living cost to be 15% and my transport cost to be 10%, but you can't change that 75%. On a 50% markup, you've got to be putting 75% back into the business, or else your business is not going to grow. On a 75% markup, the formula is as follows. Your living costs now go to 30%. Your transport costs remain at 5%, or alternatively, you can have your living costs of 25% and your transport at 10%, depending on the way that you look at it. But the amount that you have to reinvest in the business is 65%, or your business is not going to grow. And on a 100% markup, 30%, 10% or 35% living costs, 5% transport, 30% living costs, 10% transport, doesn't matter. But the reinvested amount is all important, 60%. If you follow this, I can guarantee you, your business is going to grow.